This will not be done. You will be destroyed.
I won't shy away from calling it what it is. Far-right thuggery.
As I record this video, 30 or more protests are scheduled for today, and the media continues to label each and every one of those protests and everyone involved as far right. Now, the looting of shops, destruction of property and otherwise attacks on communities is awful and is punishable by law as rightly it should be. But is that far right? Or is that simply outrageous vandalism? Seeing a couple of people with 1940s bad guy tattoos does not qualify each and every person who protests as far right. But the media are allowed to state these things, because why wouldn't they? When leader Starmer, supreme commander of the Soviet counties of Britain, repeats the same rhetoric.
I won't shy away from calling it what it is. Far-right thuggery.
You know, when you get it wrong, you really get it wrong.
I can't speak for anyone else, but to me, Starmer is starting to display the signs of a would-be dictator. But to be a successful dictator, you need 5 things. 1. Control of the media. 2. Control of the economy. 3. Control of key administrative departments or targets. 4. Loyalty of the military. And 5. Legitimacy. But luckily, so far, Starmer hasn't got complete control of point 1. Control of the media. That's not to say he doesn't have many media allies, as evidenced by the far-right narrative, but you could cite GB News as an example of standing against Starmer's rhetoric, for it's been, for the most part, robust in its approach to tackling Starmer's obscene methods of discriminating British people. However, if things escalate to the point of a dictatorship forming, I fear that GB News will face the same fate as did a fictional news outlet did in Babylon 5, due to being part of this country and is seen by many as controlled opposition. However, one such entity does exist that appears to be genuine opposition, and its owner has been having a war of words with Starmer over what we have all seen. Since Elon started speaking out via Twitter X, those that oppose free speech have revealed their ugly head. Calls for censorship or worse have come from those in the media.
It's only a temporary measure in order to limit the spread of inflammatory information, misinformation as well, across the United Kingdom at this point. And I think we should focus on keeping people safe.
If there was a dialogue between government and social media platforms, those provisions would be taken irrespective of whether the law is there. It's pretty clear that even though the current law or the forthcoming law doesn't apply to him, I think government can think about making some sort of emergency act to try and get the attention of these billionaire oligarchs.
What they're talking about here is essentially people in positions of authority wanting a British version of the Enabling Act. For those who don't know, the Enabling Act was Small Moustache Man's answer to quelling violent dissent. It gave him the first building block of absolute power in the 1930s and 40s. Essentially, they want an act or law or suspension of anything they deem as unsafe, and it's always meant to be temporary, as they say, up until the point it isn't. Remember, just as a side note, as a comparison, income tax was a measure that was designed to be temporary for war times, and then what happened? War ends, it becomes permanent. My advice is to be cautious every time someone calls for emergency or temporary measures, because they always end up being permanent. History has proven this. But the overarching point I want to draw your attention to is back to when Elon Musk himself posted #2-tier Keir. Because a government condemns such inflammatory language.
An almighty war of words has broken out between Elon Musk and the Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, after Musk claimed on Monday that the violent riots sweeping the UK meant that, quote, civil war is inevitable. So the Prime Minister slammed the comments, claiming there was no justification for it. After hundreds of Muslim men violently attacked a pub and an individual man in Birmingham last night, Musk today took to the social media platform to ask the Prime Minister, why aren't all communities protected in Britain?
Oh my. In fact, many people have taken to MSN and social media to say it's all made up, that two-tier policing, well, it doesn't exist. Except, here is West Midlands Police last night discussing the scenes we saw in Birmingham involving Muslims taking control of the streets and there being 0 police officers on site.
So we have really strong business and community relations, and because we were aware through intelligence that there was a potential protest through that misinformation yesterday, we had the opportunity to meet with community leaders, with business leaders prior to that event to kind of understand the style of policing that we needed to deliver during the course of that operation. So we knew that there was going to be a large amount of people out on that counter-protest. We knew who the vast majority of those people were. We'd had conversations in terms of what that was likely to look like, and so our policing response was commensurate to that intelligence and the information that we'd held with our partners and communities prior to that event taking place. So we've policed in response to the intelligence that we received at that moment in time. What I would say is that the vast majority of people that attended that protest yesterday did so law-abidingly, and they did it with the right intentions. There were just a small minority of people that attended there and were intent on causing either criminality, disorder or fear within our communities. What we saw was a response from our communities where they were trying to kind of make sure that that was policed within themselves as well, and trying to deter people from taking part in that disorder. And as a result, we've been able to go on, gather that evidence, gather that information. We have made arrests. Well, we've made an arrest this afternoon. We continue to try and make arrests in terms of those people that were involved in those disorders yesterday.
Key words from what he said: opportunity to meet with community leaders, the style of policing we needed to deliver, a small minority of people were intended on criminality, policed within themselves. Okay, outside of an annoying lisp, Superintendent Emlyn Richards has, on the record, admitted that two-tier policing exists. Let his words stand as testimony to what Elon Musk has said, to what I have said, to what the majority of Britain has said. And I don't know about you, but I think Mr. Starmer and his government owe Elon an apology, don't you? Well, whatever happens, Starmer better do something quick, because his approval rating is dying so fast he may as well be in Game of Thrones. Okay, so let's just recap before we go. What have we established in this video? 1. Two-tier policing exists. 2. Media continues to peddle far-right mantra. 3. Protests are escalating. And 4. Calls for censorship or ban of social media entirely from certain people in authority in the media. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Starmer's Britain, and it's only been 4 weeks. There are 4 years to go. Oh, and by the way, more than 3,000 people have arrived illegally by the small boat since Starmer became PM. Illegals that may also be here to do us harm, apparently. I don't think Starmer's going to last the 4 years. I think it's going to be a repeat of the 70s, in which a new election will be called very quickly. A year, maybe 2, and then we'll have another election. That's my prediction anyway. I could be wrong, but I don't think I am. Anyway, so with that happy and smiley thought, I will leave you for now. Thank you all for watching. Until next time, do take care and God bless.